It's sort of surprising that they're announcing earnings after the bell. They're having the call then. That's not what we normally hear from them. And Bill said to me a month ago, even that is suspect. They know there's bad news coming.
Yeah, it's certainly a shift for Herbalife. I mean, if it were like a Friday and a 3-day weekend, I think that might even have more credence. But it is a change for this company, the way that they present information, and they're constantly changing the way they present information. But I think it's useful to look at what's going on in this company and separate it from the sort of, he said battle, Ackman versus, I don't know, it's the Wall Street battle to me is as interesting as what's happening in this underlying business. And what's happened to the business is it's slowing down dramatically. And you could see it last quarter when it really took hold. We could see signs of it before, but when you saw the sales growth, and the sales themselves, revenue for this company really start to, it continues to grow, but at a much slower pace, a much, much slower pace. And while the sales slowed down quite a bit, the profits slowed down significantly. Their operating profits just absolutely collapsed with just that downtick in sales growth.
Cory,
and so when you look,
could it be that they're in the middle of the perfect storm? Let's say Bill Ackman is right, and they had been up to no good. Maybe under their new management, and they have changed a lot of their distributor guidelines. Now maybe they're finally flying straight, flying right, and they're trying to do it at a time when the strong dollar is killing them, so they can't get out of this vortex.
Well, so two things there. So the company is certainly paying attention to Bill Ackman, and it has changed the way that they do certain business practices, responding to his criticism. The way that leads are sold within the business, that top earners are no longer able to have side businesses selling leads. That changes the way they do business. So they haven't said, we don't care what you're saying, Bill Ackman, we're going to keep doing what we've always done and do it right. They've changed their business in response to his criticism. Now, what's important here on the currency side, though, is, yes, the currency is another perfect storm hitting them. The Venezuelan currency, just the change in that one currency and their valuation of that, slapped their earnings last quarter. But look what's happened globally since then. We've had an absolute collapse in the euro, which is one of their biggest markets. We've actually had the Chinese currencies actually improved a little bit since they last gave guidance. But across the board, you've seen global currencies collapse. Their costs of goods are in U.S. dollars. Their revenues are increasingly overseas, and their growth is overseas. So when those dollars coming in from overseas, or those pesos, or those euros, or the China RMB coming in, when those are at a lower value than the last time they gave guidance, that could be a big surprise after the bell today.
I will be shocked.
What do you honestly think is going to happen? What do you honestly think is going to happen here, Cory? I mean, it's not actually a battle of the Wall Street wills anymore, because so many guys who are on the other side of this trade are out.
Yeah, look, fundamentally the company's going to have to stand on its own. And these issues, the places where they're growing, it's the business that it is can only grow so much. They can only have so many locations. They can only have so many diet clubs in a single block. And they've started to push the limits of that. That's why the growth overseas is so important, because the limits in the U.S. may have been reached. That's why their biggest growth has been in those other places like Mexico, like China, China's one of their biggest markets. So they start to push against a limit somewhere. When they change those business practices, look, we're starting to see those results. I think that's why last quarter was so important. I think that's why this quarter is going to be so fundamentally important. Forget the FTC examinations. Forget whether this is an illegal multi-level marketing scheme or not. Just the business itself seems to be suffering under its own weight.
Cory, I just want to share for a minute a clip of the conversation I had just a couple weeks ago with Bill. I know he keeps saying to us, wait for it, big news coming. But he named February 26th sort of as D-Day. Take a look.
Interestingly, they're holding a conference call after the close as opposed to 10 in the morning the following day. I think it's a little bit of a tell that the numbers are going to be bad.
So, Cory, many people have said, listen, Bill, you've told us in the past this is going to be the biggest presentation, the biggest aha moment. But if you look quietly, this trade has started to go Bill's direction. A year and a half ago, I mean, he was underwater with some of the biggest hedge fund giants standing on his front yard with bazookas. That's not really the case anymore.
Well, and his strategy also to be so concentrated in so few names. It's very hot in the hedge fund industry right now as those super concentrated philosophies. There are a lot of fund-to-fund managers that are pushing money into those funds that are so concentrated in those positions. And it's all in. But, imagine what goes on the other side, right? When you're a hedge fund analyst and you've got a huge position and that company's reporting You loved to have the night to go over the numbers and to read everything that was possible. You hate the conference call right when the numbers hit, before the filing happens. That's the way most companies do it. Herbalife doing that as well. But it doesn't give you the chance to do the analysis, to be ready to ask the smartest questions when the conference call comes around.